84%.
That's pretty good.
No picks, although we'll have to check the PFF on the interceptable passes. There were
one of them
2.
would have been a lot harder than the other one. I thought Jalen just did a couple weird things. Like I don't think he was just kind of sitting there. It felt like usually he was like playing a Hufunga role, it felt like, on those 2 plays, didn't it?
Yeah. Was not playing corner today, was he?
No, he was doing some weird shit. That play, I mean, he's probably 10 yards away from throwing a strike. Like, it's probably not an easy play to pick.
Yeah, no, it's not. You're right.
But
it had been hands, it was
it.
bouncing, and it was...
The bouncing one could have happened last year, remember? In the Week 18 game, a bouncy one, and it's like the one that just hits the helmet, hits the ground, it happens so fast, you can't get rattled. The bouncing one, your heart stops.
Yeah. And he made, I mean, like, I don't think we talk about Garoppolo's game every week. And I thought one of the reasons that throw to Ray was not a touchdown is because Jimmy just does not lead fast guys or the faster guys, but he did hit the open Dwelly, and Dwelly was just like, I am catching this football. I'm slowing down. I'm turning around. I'm catching this football. Whatever happens afterwards is gravy. I am not a yak, bro. I am just here for the catch. But the throw to McCaffrey, the touchdown, the throw to Kittle, the touchdown, which ended up looking very difficult. There were just some really good throws from Jimmy Garoppolo today. And I think generally, we've talked about this before. The same game here or there with a dropped pick or a pick or whatever. But Dan on the stream says they just highest completion rate by a Niners QB since Steve Young in 97. D'Anthony says 11 touchdowns, 4 picks for Garoppolo so far this year. We're not here every week to relitigate what we think of them, but that was a really good game when they had to have a really good game from him.
He's like your classic, if he was like your kid or your wife or something, you just get in these fights and you go, I just don't know if I can do this anymore. Like you watch Jimmy Garoppolo a bad game, you're like, this is not sustainable. This thing's about to get ugly. And he just ropes you back in. You just like that was high level quarterback play. 11-4. Like he's having a dramatically better season than Derek Carr, who makes $40 million. Think about that. Dramatically better season. He makes 6.5 off the scrap heap. Nobody wanted him. Now he's a roller coaster ride. We've all acknowledged that. Now you could argue Kyle is too, but like their highs are pretty high, and that is why it's hard to quit them.
Well, it's hard to quit them because you couldn't, right?
Yeah, but I think it's easy. The situation was so bizarre, and they didn't kick him to the curb because they've had some high moments with the guy, like really high. Like honestly, guy, when that morning game ended, I do believe. Now I don't know the team, but if you tell me that Derek Carr is traded before the deadline, I think it would be on the table. I don't think it's impossible for that not to happen. And because the quarterback play, you can't function with poor quarterback play. Like it's not possible in the NFL to sustain it. Right? I know the Giants won some games. Like the Patriot game today was such a lock because you just went like, there's no way for 4 quarters this kid is going to be able to just circumvent Belichick. And what happened? All of a sudden, I'm just watching on Red Zone, and like they kept breaking back, like his 2nd interception, his 3rd interception. Like there's a chance Zach Wilson never gets a high. Because when you win games,
they did have a pick six on Mac Jones called back.
Well, I think Mac Jones stinks too.
No, I know. I'm just saying, like they could have won the game with that, but
my thing is like Zach Wilson, Mac Jones, some of these guys, and I'm not putting Derek in this category. I put Daniel Jones there too. They've been winning. Like when I win despite you all of the time, and then we also lose a decent amount, and you are shitty in that, it's like, what the fuck are you bringing to the table? But if I win despite you, but yet a decent amount of the time or half that time, we also win because you're making sweet plays, you're playing high-level quarterback, and then we lose because you play shitty, we have bad games. Those high highs build a lot of equity to the fan base and obviously to the people running the team, which for the most part, good teams, I think, are on the same page. Usually the fan base and the coaching staff, I think for good teams, you might disagree over a player or two, but ultimately Ray doesn't matter. Like, you think of the same thing, like what you think of Javon Kinlaw being a disaster, deep down they're thinking it too. They just can't publicly say it, right? But like your highs and lows with Jimmy probably reflect Kyle and John's. And they live to play it like we know what we're getting. Like, bullshit. I mean, you want to leave him in Nashville, Tennessee when he throws the 2 picks, just like everyone that watched the game. And just like tonight, if you saw Jimmy Garoppolo out in fucking Christian McCaffrey, you buy him around. Like, that was incredible, boys, because that was incredible. Like, if you watch football long enough, you just know what sweet looks like. I thought Jimmy's pass, his last touchdown pass to Kittle in the corner of the end zone, is one of the best passes he's ever had. I would say the most important pass he's ever had by far was last year against the Rams, the outstretched hand for Deebo Samuel. And even that, all 3 of those passes on that drive, like, it's just 2-minute drive, no timeouts, playoffs on the line. And like, that's the biggest moment the guy's had in his career beside like the Super Bowl, right? I mean, that it would have devastated the whole franchise. It would have been a disaster. And he saved everyone. Jimmy, like, Kyle couldn't do anything on that. You're just calling deep breaking routes, and Jimmy just stepped up and made plays. And he's made sweet plays. That Saints game where he probably had his best statistical game in the history of his career, which
in 19.
Yeah. But I thought that pass today, you could even include the McCaffrey pass today, but the Kittle pass, like, those are beautiful passes. Which is part of the reason he drives you nuts, because you're like, why can't you do that more often?
Yeah, I think one thing he didn't do today, and this is one of the reasons it was one of his better games, is he didn't miss the throws they had that, right? Often he misses throws, which you have to have, which most quarterbacks do. Like, most quarterbacks that play in the NFL can sometimes make the throw that he made to Kittle today, or sometimes make the throw that he made to McCaffrey today. If you had him run that play 10 more times, I don't know what his completion percentage would be, but today he made both of those throws, right? Over the course of a season, like, that's why I don't care much for, like, if you took the way he played today and put it over 17 games, you'd get X. But, consistency and performing and showing up every day, like, that's part of the difference between the really good guys and the average guys. And now Jimmy, we always try to figure out where exactly he fits in that whole spectrum. But I think one of the things today he did not do, he made plus throws, like plus throws. He also didn't make that many minus throws. And I'm not even talking about turnovers. Like, often there was something schemed open and they miss it. That happens in every game, right?
Yeah.
And that didn't happen. It happened a couple of times. Again, I thought the Ray throw was like, this is part of the deal. It's like those deep balls just get, that should not be a challengeable ball for a defender. And it became one. Ray had him beat, but whatever. Like, he didn't have that many. He hit a bunch of throws today. The times that he tried to buy time to make plays, he made plays, including that throw to McCaffrey. But yeah, I mean, those 2 touch throws were, I put the McCaffrey throw in the same category as the Kittle throw. It was just,
it was fantastic. And you're right. Like, the reason Josh Allen and Mahomes are those 2 guys is because they make that play literally more than everyone else consistently. And when Rodgers, right, is humming MVP style, like, he makes that thing. Most guys do not. Right?
Yeah.
Dak
I don't care about the
miss.
thing you can do once. Like, that's it. At least, I mean, I care, but don't tell me, oh, a guy could be great if he did the thing he did once, 17 weeks in a row. It's like, well, yeah, 3 guys do that.
Yeah,
that's it. That's not. That's not. That's
well, like, why is everyone saying, like, Geno Smith's having a really good year? Because he's kind of, every time you watch him, he's just playing solid, right? If you play solid NFL football every single year or every single week as a quarterback, and you have some talent around you and a good coach, like, you're going to win 10 games. Like, you're just going to win 10 games. If you just have a solid season, 25 to 30 touchdowns, 8 to 10 picks, you have a good team and a solid defense, like, your team's going to go to the playoffs. Like, that's a fact, right? Your team is not going to be under 500. Now, maybe you go 9-8 and miss the playoffs, but your team's going to be solid. Like, you will not be bad. So that's why the 49ers have just been really competitive, because they get the good and the bad. So his good is like, they're going to win. In his good games, they're going to win most of them. Yeah. In his bad games, sometimes they're lucky enough because their defense is good.
Right.
If they could just get consistent Jimmy Garoppolo, like, they could rattle off 5 of 6 games, right?
But what won them the game today from Jimmy was not 84%. That you don't duplicate that, right? A lot of what won them the game today was the winning plays when you had to have winning plays. I mean, it was both. I mean, 84% is hard to beat.
Yeah, it was not throwing picks.
But just winning play. He made winning plays. Like, yeah. I think there are games where they have to manage around him, and the play calling is always going to be that way. But today, on the McCaffrey play, to me, John, was just, that play could have gone either way. You run that play 10 times, half the time it's not a touchdown. Today it was a touchdown.
I agree.
When they had to have it. Pete Carroll.
The Kittle play was clearly schemed up for George, because George was wide open.
like you
right?
said, it wide open when you throw it is not wide open when
No,
it's time
because
to make
the
play on the
DB breaks off the underneath guy. It's probably an easier play to execute lower, at like the 50-yard line, right? Because if you do get behind him, you have more room to
Get more
play out.
room,
Like
yeah.
there's a finite, like it ends at the white line. Like he
There's
just kind of has to hug the line.
is a perfect example of like why it's harder sometimes in the red zone.